Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm the most annoyed parent in the world, Derek Master.
Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and Derek tells you why he doesn't like his kids.
Oh, no, it's not my kids. It's everybody else. Present company excluded, obviously. No, so we live in a subdivision, and it's close to the 4th of July. Not quite the 4th of July, and people are letting off fireworks. So my son was up until 11 o'clock last night thinking people were knocking on his window.
Aww.
That was actually, old Salem's Lot going on.
Yeah.
It was
that'd be terrible.
Really frustrating.
No, we had the same thing. Connor didn't give a shit about it. He was asleep. He's a baby.
Ellie doesn't care either.
But the dogs. Lily usually isn't too bad, but last night she was. But Remy shakes like a leaf. He's going crazy. Rover, who's usually not bad, jumped up and laid like right by my head. I was like, okay, guys. And I was like asleep. There was one point I was like this. I was about to go to sleep and a big one hit. And I like jolted up and I was like, damn you.
Yeah. Yeah, my dog Radar's not a fan either.
He hates it too, huh?
Yeah.
They going off for you too?
Yeah.
America. Yay.
Yay.
Why can't it just be one day? Maybe I'd give you two. The day before and the day of.
You know what, Derek?
There was like 3 days ago.
There was a time when we were them.
No, I was never an asshole.
I got some golf balls to say the opposite.
I can hear fireworks right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know. I hear noises and I'm like, oh, that's a firework going off.
Yep. Well, guys, we've got a lot to talk about today because we are talking about Dwight H. Little's 1988 sequel to John Carpenter's Halloween. Well, technically a sequel to Rick Rosenthal's Halloween 2, but, whatever. But before we talk about Halloween 4, the return of MM, let's talk about the horror news, which, continuing on from last week, we don't have a lot of. Actually, very little horror news. So let's kind of get into these little bits that we have. The first one is something that's kind of cool. So we are getting Arrow Video is releasing the Psycho collection on 4K in the UK. I mean, we have to port it over, but it has Psycho, Psycho 2, Psycho 3, 4, and the TV aspect ratio of 4, all on 4K disc, which has got to be amazing. I mean, we reviewed Psycho already, and we all gave it, of course, extremely high marks. And I think we watched the HD version like on HBO. Imagine what a 4K transfer of that. Black and white movies look amazing in 4K. Their 4K transfers are gorgeous. So I just can't imagine what that movie looks like. And Psycho 2, we'll talk about it eventually, but it's one of the most underrated sequels of all time, in my opinion. So, yeah. We got to talk about it someday. We'll get to it eventually.
I like to imagine that Derek just sees them in color anyway, so.
Look at him.
I don't know why I show up. I don't know why I show up.
But this is getting a release in the UK, has a shitload of special features. The box art is gorgeous. So that might be one I will have to import over because that looks amazing. And then a little bit of sad news, follow up from some news we had a couple weeks ago. The search for Julian Sands has been called off because his remains were found.
Aww.
Yeah. So we don't know exactly what happened yet, but he was found on the hiking trail. So R.I.P. Julian Sands, you were a great actor. You gave us some great work We've done Arachnophobia already. And we will one day get to Warlock, which is a lot of
game
fun.
for that. It is.
It's a lot of fun. This is interesting. Our good old buddy Kevin Bacon has a new Amazon series from Prime Video in Blumhouse called The Bondsman, where he plays an undead bounty hunter.
What?
Yeah.
So is this like that Ryan Reynolds and
No, I don't think so.
what was that? The R.I.P.D.
R.I.P.D., which funnily enough, stars Kevin Bacon as the villain.
He was
Really?
the villain in that movie. You're
He
right.
is the villain in that
Yeah.
movie. Yeah. No, this one is that's pretty cool. He talks about how big of a fan he is of horror. You know, he's been coming back to it a lot lately, you know, which is great. Of course, he got a start in horror with Friday the 13th and Tremors. Then he became a movie star for a long time, did movie star stuff, and then went back, with Stir of Echoes, which we covered as well. Then recently, he's just started getting back into genre fare with They, Them, which we'll review at some point, and I'll keep my opinion of that to myself until we watch it. But he's done, like The Darkness, Hollow Man, of course, Flatliners, and he's starring in X and the X and Pearl sequel, Maxine. We've got to do X and Pearl, by the way, still. But it looks like it is 8 half-hour episodes is what the first season is. He's a backwoods bounty hunter who comes back from the dead with an unexpected second chance at life and love in an nearly forgotten musical career, only to find that his old job now has a demonic new twist. So I'm guessing he has to hunt down demons. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'm game.
I mean, Kevin Bacon's fun, right?
Yeah.
His name's kind of fun to say, too. Kevin Bacon. I love how he... Yes. And then finally, like I said, not a lot of horror news. So we're literally at finally already. Mads Mikkelsen and Brian Fuller are in production on a new horror movie called Dust Bunny, co-starring Sigourney Weaver.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah. We don't know much about it yet. Let's see what it says. An 8-year-old girl who recruits her strange neighbor to hunt and kill the monster living under her bed. The girl says the monster ate her family and she wants revenge.
That sounds like it could be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, and I love Mads Mikkelsen. He's great in literally everything he does.
Yeah.
I just watched him this weekend in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and he's phenomenal, of course.
Nice.
He's literally been a part of think about these franchises that he's been a part of.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, James Bond,
Mm-hmm.
Hannibal,
Star Wars,
Star Wars, Marvel. I mean, this
He was
guy,
underutilized in Marvel, I would say.
his character was, he only had the one movie. He could have been in more, I think.
who was he in Marvel?
He's the villain in Doctor Strange, in the first
Yeah,
Doctor
the first
Strange.
one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they should have brought him. Sam Raimi should have brought him back for the sequel. But this sounds fun, I think, and we love Sigourney Weaver, of course. So, and Hannibal. I don't know if you have guys.
Can't remember.
Yeah, some stuff. She's done some stuff.
I was so
Gorilla
confused when you
movie or
said that.
something like that.
What'd you say?
I said a gorilla movie or something like that.
Yeah. She was in Congo, I think.
No, she was in a movie where she played like a doctor who was in the jungle
that's
trying
right.
to help apes. Anyway, that's like the most obscure movie she's ever been in, other than the other movies that she's been in.
Yeah, all of the other classics like Ghostbusters, Aliens, all of them, Avatar.
Yep.
Cabin in the Woods.
What are they? I mean, oh, dude, if you just started Ghostbusters and Aliens,
Yeah, I
You're,
know.
you know,
Right.
you're set for life as far as like, you're an icon. You're an icon. And that wraps up this edition of Horror News. You know what? Speaking of Sigourney Weaver, I just thought of a movie I haven't thought of in a long time. Do you guys remember the movie Copycat?
Mm-mm.
She's an agoraphobic writer in that movie. And there is because she was almost murdered and she survived, and a copycat killer is trying to kill her. So I think it's Holly Hunter is the detective in the movie. It's a really good movie.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. Haven't seen it in ages, but it just hit me because I was like, what's another like horror movie she was in? That's one. More of a thriller, but whatever.
Yeah.
But there's no question about what tonight's movie is. It's the old slashies. Back to our genre staple of slasher movies. We are doing, like we discussed, Dwight H. Little's Halloween for The Return of Michael Myers. And the road to get here is pretty interesting because there were several iterations of this movie, one of which was written by John Carpenter.
They should have went with that one.
Yeah, one was written by John Carpenter, and basically it was too cerebral. There were several other attempts, and this movie was made during the writer's strike.
Really?
The script was turned in right before the strike started. Like literally. Handed in. Right before. Boom. There you go. So there's a lot going on with that. So I start this like I start every one of these. Is this the first time you saw this? Lydia?
I've definitely seen this one before on TV, like years ago now. So I didn't quite remember it very well. So it was kind of a first watch, but I did remember like, some of it and some of the plot.
Yeah, the plot, the some of the chase sequences probably.
Mm-hmm. Mask.
Danielle Harris.
Yeah.
The Mask. We're definitely talking about The Mask. Derek, this isn't your first time watching this.
No, this is not my first time watching this. I was trying to So this came out in '88, which means I would have been 5. So I definitely didn't see it in a movie, but I know that like we rented this was one of those like weekend movie store rentals that we watched, and like this one and the one after it. Those kind of like merged together in my memories, but no, definitely not the first time I watched this.
Yeah, same with me. Definitely not the first. I've seen this movie a lot of times. Like I've watched this movie a lot because I go through all the Halloweens, So, and it depends on the mood I'm in. I'm like, I'll watch 4. Why not? Let's put that one in. So, I mean, I've seen this tons of times. I do not even remember the first time I watched this. To be honest, I remember the first time I bought it on DVD. The first time I owned it on DVD. That was the first time I saw it in widescreen and not the old, full frame, the good old full frame deal. But yeah, so I've seen this movie a ton of times, and so I have like a nostalgia for it because I remember watching it as a kid. I remember renting this and the 5th one. There's a reason, Derek, that those 2 were probably rented a lot too, is because those were like the first ones that were new on VHS. So they came out in '88 and '89, respectively. So it's like, it was right in the old VHS heyday, right when it started, when movies stopped being like $70 and started being $19.95. Like fuck yeah, or you could go to Burger King or you go to McDonald's and fucking buy Land Before Time. You guys remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I bought my copy, baby. I'll take a Happy Meal and Land Before Time.
How crazy is that?
So, man, I kind of miss that shit.
Dude, I was reminiscing with my brother earlier today, and yeah, I agree. I miss I miss some of those nostalgic things that we reflect on sometimes.
Yeah, and then we go in 1995. You go to McDonald's and get fucking glass Batman Forever cups. You guys remember that?
I remember when the stuff that you used to get at like McDonald's, like back in the day, those Halloween pails were legit.
Oh yeah,
or the cups that you used to get, the collector's cups, or like now you get one of the toys from there, and you're just like, wow. This is
sorry, son. Sorry, son. We had cool ones that like did shit.
Yeah,
they did bring back the Halloween pails, but they suck.
Man,
I remember getting the like Ronald McDonald like cartoon VHSs.
Yeah,
do you remember those?
I remember those. No,
there was one.
Yeah, they're disturbing.
They are disturbing. Like they're actually kind of scary. And I remember one where they're like going through like a maze or like a haunted house kind of situation, and I just was like, so this was like the first taste of horror, like it was scary.
Oh man, that's so funny. There's Batman Forever cups. I had actually all of them. Probably is. I had all 5 or all 4 of those Batman Forever cups. It was like Batman, Robin, Two-Face, and Riddler. And I had one of each. We used to drink out of them all the time. They're gone, lost to time.
I mean, they had like a ton of stuff like that too, like Lord of the Rings cups and Disney.
This is the last one I'll bring up. Oh, go ahead, Lydia. Sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
So the last one I'll mention is, do you guys, maybe not you, Lydia, because you're like still a youngin', but do you remember going to a video store and renting a game system?
Yeah, absolutely.
You used to give that a giant ass suitcase.
Yeah, the first time I played N64, I rented it from the video store.
Mm-hmm.
We rented it, and it came with I think there's only 5 games between that, around 6 games, 5 to 6 games at launch, and maybe even 3. But Super Mario 64 was the main one, and I remember playing it on that rented console, and I remember flying with the hat, doing that for the first time, and being like, "This is the best thing that's ever happened." Yeah, because you also back in the day used to be able to rent VCRs, laser disc players, and DVD players as well. It's wild. Yep. Wild. Video stores were where it's at, which is where you would find tonight's movie if it was the 80s, because they would be just fucking chilling there, right there with Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3. And then there it is. Which, by the way, the cover of this movie is really sick. I remember the art for this really well because they used the mask from the original movie and not this mask.
Thank goodness.
We'll get to.
So they pulled a bait and switch, huh?
Yeah, you're like, yeah, what? So the opening titles to this movie, the opening scenes is fucking great. With the shots of, like the fall, and we just hear like the wind. It's super autumn. I love it.
Yeah. So cozy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm just like, wow, what a brilliant idea. It starts unlike any other, every other Halloween movie starts. You're right in, either do like the cold open or it just kicks. Well, usually cold open kicks right in. This one we get this moody, atmospheric, like cozy, like you said, Lydia, thing. And then we are immediately back into the insane asylum where Michael Myers has been in a coma for 10 years.
Yeah, so I do want to say one thing about this open. I have never wanted fall so bad after watching a scene of a movie than I did after watching the openings of this movie. I was like, God, I wish it was October.
Yeah, I know. So did I. I was like, it's the best. Why can't we live in October all the time?
Right?
Yeah, I agree. So we're in the insane asylum. Let's get it out of the way first. So, do you want to talk about the mask first?
Might as well.
Might as well just talk about it. It is not the best. It's one of the worst masks in the
It's
franchise.
bad.
Yeah. It's actually distractingly bad.
It is, yeah.
Because it ruins some pretty effective scenes. Because there's that fucking mask, and you're like, why did they? Why did they?
You're
Why
like-
did they?
You're like, this is scary, this is scary, this is scary.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Not
What are you
scary.
doing?
I know that
What
would be
is
the
that?
first thing that you saw with Michael. Ah, you scared the shit out of me, man. That mask is terrible.
Yeah,
Wow, they really cut your mask budget on this one, didn't they?
yeah.
Yeah, there's it's I don't know exactly what happened with that. Like they were trying to mold it after the original. Dwight H. Little wanted like eyebrows, which I think is probably the problem. It's the eyebrows because it makes him look like he's perpetually shocked.
I didn't even
You know,
realize that.
I felt like the mask was too like, I don't know, like made his face look bloated.
Yeah,
Is
well,
it
it's a little. It's because of the way it's fitting. I think. Yeah.
It's like featureless, and he's got like big round black nose holes and round eye holes, and it's kind of just
Yeah, and he's
strange.
got the eyebrows. The eyebrows, in which,
Eyebrows.
like I said,
Eyebrows are
even notice
definitely
the
make him look like this all the
Negative.
time. Yeah,
these big nose holes.
and then they slick back his hair, which is always a mistake. They do this with Michael Myers sometimes, and it always drives me nuts. They slick back the mask's hair. Let it fall. That's what makes it cool and scary. John Carpenter in Halloween, the original Halloween, just lets it, and it catches the light catches it at certain angles, and it looks fucking creepy and cool.
Yeah.
And then they slick it back, and it looks too clean. The problem with the mask is it's too clean, which is fine because he does steal it. You're muted. You already lost.
I'll never win. I'll never do it again. It'll never happen.
What were you saying?
Me?
Yes,
yeah, you're the
you.
one that started to talk, and then you were
Oh
muted.
yeah. No, I was just going to agree with you. I do feel like you're right. He does take it right off the shelf, but it's just too clean. It's too
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
It's too noticeable.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, so we're led to believe that this is like a mask that has kind of been produced to be in the vein of Michael Myers, because
Yeah.
people later in the movie wear it as well.
Yeah, and
So
you
that's
see it in
kind
the
of what
store.
it's. Yeah, you see it in the store, so that it's kind of I get it, but it could have been the next movie. Believe it or not, The Mask in Part 5 is worse. It's just worse.
Yeah.
And then Part 6, it's fucking pretty great. It gets great again. The Mask does.
I wanted
But
to ask you,
Go ahead.
there's a scene where they're going into the school and they get attacked by him, and his mask looks blonde and pink. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna wait till we got to that part to explain it, but
Okay.
I'll explain it now. I'll explain it
Okay.
now.
I'm very curious. I was gonna wait too, but I
Because
didn't want to forget.
the mask was blonde and pink. So
Right.
it was an unpainted stunt mask. It was used to, there was gonna be a stunt mask. It was late at night. They were all tired. They just grabbed that mask off the shelf or off the thing, put it on, didn't even realize it was the wrong mask, shot the scene. And I was like, how does one listen, I know what it's like to be tired, but as a director, I think I would say, why is his face pink?
Yeah.
Or there's something wrong with this.
Something's
Oh,
not looking
Let
right.
me point this out. Figure this out.
That's why it's in that one scene, because it was a
Okay.
mistake. That's what I think. It's basically that's what has been told through the legends of this movie, is that that's what happened. Just the wrong mask was grabbed and nobody noticed. Which is kind of weird to think about. You have a fucking crew of people. You don't think one of them was like,
Yeah.
hey, his mask is pink, guys, and his hair's blonde.
So strange.
Is this
I completely missed that. I'm gonna have to scroll through that real quick and get to the end and figure it out
you know
Probably why
why?
they left it.
because it's towards the end
Yeah,
of
because
it.
it's so quick. If it wasn't for VHS, you probably wouldn't notice it. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for home video, I mean, in multiple rewatches, you probably wouldn't notice it in cinemas. I mean, I probably would have, because I would have been like you did, Lydia. Why is his face? It's like,
Well, I noticed the hair first, and then I
Yeah.
rewound it.
yeah, because it's bright. So
Yeah.
basically what it is, Derek, is he went back to Surfer Sting. You
Oh
see,
my
Michael
God.
Myers is Crow Sting, and then he just went back to Surfer Sting for that one moment. So deep cut. That's a good wrestling joke there.
That is a good one.
So the asylum. What do you guys think of the setup? I think the setup's pretty tight, pretty solid. That they're transferring Michael Myers out of this insane asylum, and he escapes. What do you guys think of the insane asylum escape scene?
I
That
like
whole
it.
bit.
Yeah, I like the whole beginning a lot. I watched it 3 times. I had to keep rewinding it because Jake kept missing it. So I had it memorized by the 3rd
Yeah.
time. And I was like, yeah, this is good.
It is. I like it a lot too. I like that actor that plays the guard is really cool. I think.
Yeah.
You
I
never
like
get used
him.
to the faces.
Yeah.
And then when he says, "Jesus ain't got nothing to do with this place," you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I love
Says,
that
"Welcome
line.
to hell."
It's like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus ain't
Yeah.
got nothing to do with this place.
That guy
Yeah,
has
I
so
think-
many good lines crammed in such a short amount of time.
yeah. And he gives us our backstory as well. He gives us like the
Mhm.
condensed, the Wikipedia version of Halloween and Halloween 2, where these people died. He's been in a coma, and Dr. Loomis also survived, by the way. That's kind of what that whole thing was.
Yeah.
And so we get like the setup. And what do you guys think of the ambulance escape? Pretty legit.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
He
Not bad
smashes
at
old
all.
boy's head and then
Yeah.
comes through the forehead.
Yeah.
That's
Thumb
fun.
through the forehead. I was like, oh my
They
god.
do that one twice in this movie, but yeah.
Yeah.
The thumb.
That's a good one. I was like it. Okay, let's move on.
Strong
And-
thumbs.
So we're introduced to our, what do you guys think of our leads? We're introduced to our 2 leads. We're introduced to Rachel, who is the foster sister to our protagonist, which is Jamie Lloyd, played by Daniel Harris, a very young Daniel Harris, who is Laurie Strode's daughter. And Laurie Strode has died in a car accident. What do you think of our leads?
I think they're good. I like their introduction.
Yeah, her staring out the window
Mhm.
in the rain.
So such a sad little girl.
She is. Daniel
Well,
Harris
she's
is
had a lot
really
going
great.
on.
Yeah. She's great in
Yeah.
this movie. Daniel Harris is.
I had
Especially
actually,
for how young she was.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd actually forgotten the angle for this movie. So then, like when she said that, like I really had to like think about it. Okay, she had a daughter, she died, and this is her daughter, and that's kind of the connection. Because it's been a while since I thought about that, but yeah, I also like they have pretty good chemistry as well. So.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. In they're well written characters. They're like they have enough that you care about them immediately. So we find out that, like Rachel's dating this guy, Brady, which guys, Brady's eyebrows are a character unto themselves. Am I right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where they got the idea. Hey, put those on Michael.
It was the year of the brow.
Yeah. We'll talk about Brady here in a minute, but that's funny shit. And of course, we're introduced to our other protagonist, Dr. Loomis. Guys, what do you think of Dr. Loomis in this?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, right?
I love how he's always in there to like bring the mood like real down, like where this is pure evil, not a human. Because they're like talking about, oh, how could he move? He's got atrophy. What's going on? And he's like,
Yeah.
you talk about him like he's a man.
Yeah, this isn't a
Not a
man. Yeah,
I also like that dipshit who's like, oh yeah, hopefully we'll get Michael out of here and Loomis will retire, do something else or
transfer.
die.
Yeah, transfer or die. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, Donald Pleasance is awesome in this movie.
He is.
Dr. Loomis is so good, and I love his introduction scene. One of my favorite shots in the whole movie is when the other doctor gets the call that the ambulance has tipped, and he's like looking down and he looks up, and he just knows what the phone call is, And
Yeah.
I just love that so much. I was like, it's a great piece of acting.
I felt so sympathetic for him too. Like I
Ooh,
really felt
yeah.
so much sympathy for him in this one.
Yeah, because he's the gatekeeper. Like,
Yeah.
he should be off enjoying his life or doing something else, but he just can't.
He's
He has to be
exhausted.
Yeah.
Man, you know what? A couple of things. One, I feel like this movie has a lot more supernatural elements to it. I felt like, but also,
Kind of. I mean, it's kind of.
well, I feel
Yeah,
like
I felt that way too. Yeah.
the girl's having premonitions,
Oh,
and
that stuff. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
there's a
yeah.
scene with this preacher, which we'll get to in a minute, and I got some thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I love that. So let's talk about first. There's the gas station. There's the gas
Explosion.
station encounter with Michael Myers. This is my favorite scene of the movie. I love this scene. It's just a lot of fun. It has some pretty good tension in it, and it's just a showcase for Donald Pleasance to be awesome.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this scene?
Yeah, this is a good one, especially
I
with that
agree.
crazy shot.
Oh, we get the Jaws vertigo shot
Yeah.
of Michael Myers with his bandaged face standing on the other side of the thing, and we have that great speech by Loomis where he tells him, don't go. If you want another let them be. If you want another victim, take me. Just leave those people in peace.
Yeah.
And then he says, "God damn you," and fires at him, and he's gone. So that's a fun scene because we get like some little cat and mouse stuff. He stumbles upon multiple dead bodies. And then we get that confrontation. And then Michael Myers drives this tow truck through, pulls out the gas tank, and explodes the whole thing. And you're like, oh, we're doing this Halloween. And we get action star Dr. Loomis. I think the scene's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
And then we'll talk about the following scene with this. Lydia, this is where you were saying you feel bad for him. Because there's he's on the side of the road trying to get a ride so he can save people's lives. And these fucking teenagers just tell him they're going to give him a ride, then just blow dirt in his face and drive off. I wanted to fucking punch those teenagers right in the face.
It's like you feel like that's like your relative, like your family right there. You're like, I know this guy, and he does not deserve to be treated like that. So upsetting.
Yeah, if I were the director of this movie, there's a scene in the bar where like the anchor is like saying, there's a curfew, everybody needs to go home. Right. If I were the director of this movie, I would have put in a little blurb. There was a car full of teenagers that were found slaughtered on the side of the road.
They're bastards that'll teach him.
Yeah.
So Derek, he runs into Father Sawyer, who is this traveling preacher. Go ahead and talk about this scene.
Yeah, so he picks him up and calls him Pilgrim. He's not what's his face, John
Wayne.
John Wayne. But anyway,
I like how it took you forever to remember American icon John Wayne.
Well, I don't watch
his name. John Smith. Is that it?
I'd have got there. But no, he picks him up, and they're having this like really interesting conversation. He's like, "So, you're hunting evil too."
Yeah.
Here's the miss, man. I actually do like the guy that they got to play this crazy ass preacher. But here's the miss. It would have been really cool to have thrown in like another icon who like is hunting evil and like had their paths cross here. But either way, that is what it is. But I love their little banter. Like, the preacher's like, "Oh, I almost came across him once or twice." Not him as in Michael Myers, but evil. Yeah, and they're like bonding, and you can tell like Loomis is looking at this guy like, yeah, he gets it.
He's found a kindred spirit. Yeah,
he
and
did.
For the first time in the movie. Yeah.
And he takes a drink of his whiskey, and he's like, "Okay, we're compadres."
Yeah, that little smile that he gives him.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, this
My
is one
heart.
of my other favorite scenes in the movie. Yeah, because I love the speech that he's giving. You know, he's like, "Evil don't die like a man," and he says, "I know that, Mr. Sawyer," and he's like, "Oh, you're hunting it, aren't you?" "Yeah, I saw it in your face back there in the dust. You're hunting it." And it's just like, yeah, they found their kindred spirits. They both are hunting. Derek, it would have been. I mean, obviously, it would be studio stuff that they couldn't figure that out, I would imagine. But it would be pretty funny if that was like, I don't know who it would be now back then. Well,
and you could even like directly, you wouldn't even have to directly reference it. It could just be like a character that is in another movie, and let the audience like pick that up.
yeah, but
it
it's
would
like
have been really, really cool, I think.
I don't know who would be in
I
1988.
don't either. Yeah.
Maybe you could have it be Peter Cushing, and he's fucking hunting Dracula.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be fucking amazing.
Yeah,
That'd be really cool. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Anyway, what could have been?
yeah, one of the best scenes in the movie too. Great stuff. So we get a little bit of drama going on here with between our teens. There's a scene in the old drugstore, which, by the way, when they're on their way to the drugstore, you know the little girl, or you know the teenage girl that picks up Rachel.
Yeah,
You knew who that is?
Lindsay Wallace.
That's Lindsay Wallace.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's supposed to be Lindsay Wallace, the little girl from the original movie.
yeah, that's what I assumed there.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah,
Damn,
that's
I
who it's
missed
supposed to
that
be.
too.
Yep, that's Lindsay Wallace, which is pretty cool that they just gave her a little part. I mean, it wasn't Kyle Richards, obviously, but that's who that character is supposed to be, is Lindsay Wallace. So this scene in the drugstore is actually kind of funny because you have that fucking D-bag dude with the blonde hair, Wade,
Mhm.
and he like goes to hit
Wade.
on Kathleen Kitmont. By the way, Kathleen Kitmont is in this movie. She plays the Sheriff Meeker's daughter. And she's like this blonde bombshell with great giant brains. And and they bet old Wade. They're like, "Hey, Wade, you know, I bet you won't go out with her or ask her out." So they put all their money on, and he goes up there, and she just says, "Fuck off, Wade."
Yeah,
And turns
that
around.
got me.
It's pretty good.
I
What?
love that.
It's like, bro, your name's Wade. You have this deadly hair, and you're wearing these deadly sunglasses. Good luck. But she does go for Brady and his fucking caterpillar eyebrows. So who knows?
There you go. Yeah. You never know.
You never know. You have to shoot that shot, baby. So we're introduced to Brady, and he's kind of a douchebag, right? What do you guys think of Brady?
Yep, douchebag.
You know, you have high hopes for him because the one girl, and I don't know, I can't remember her name.
Rachel?
Either way, Rachel is like, you know, she's thinking that, you know, they're going to take it to the next level and he's going to like get a commitment. And, you know, she's like making all these plans, you know, you're going to mess with the potential grandchildren that you have.
Yeah.
And then he lets you down real bad.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
a douchebag.
What a good representation of like young ideas of love, though. You know?
Yes. Yes, it is,
Oh,
actually. Yeah.
Let me tell you what. Darn. I thought there was a spider on me. Anyway.
I was like, what the fuck is he doing?
We'll have to cut the
Like, he's really into this.
No, I you know, I don't want to talk about it, but anyway, we can move on.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Lydia. It is a good like representation of young love, and it's also a good representation of like D-bag horny dudes, teenage horny dudes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're not going to be available? Definitely going to hook up with Kathleen Kitmont.
Yeah. It's like,
Can you blame me? I mean, she's available.
yeah, it's like I don't even really blame him, honestly.
No. It's Kathleen Kitmont. What do you want?
I blame him.
Like, well, he's not married. Like,
He's not married. She even says it later. Yeah. So what's really funny about it is if they were in an actual relationship, the fact that he's like, oh, you're not available, I'm just gonna go with somebody else is
Yeah.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like,
It
oh,
is. That's the douchebaggery part of it
yes,
for sure.
yes, so funny.
No
And
patience.
so we skipped over there's a scene early in the movie where Jamie has like a premonition essentially of
Yeah.
Michael Myers. What do you guys think of that scene?
In the
So-
store? Oh,
No,
in
No,
the bedroom.
in her bedroom. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Did they take any parts of John Carpenter's script that he turned in and use it?
No, I don't think so.
I would love to read that.
I've
'Cause
read
you
it.
said it
It's
was-
interesting.
You said it was really cerebral, right?
It is. It wasn't written. It's basically Dennis Etchison wrote it, but it was the one that was being developed by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. And Dennis Etchison wrote a draft of Halloween 4, which starred Tommy Doyle and Lindsay Wallace.
Okay. Yeah, this is just because she is, and I guess it pays it off at the end of this movie.
It does, yes.
But there seems to be, and I feel like they do establish this in these scenes. There's a connection between the two.
Yes. Yeah. And what's interesting is at first you don't know that it's a premonition. I mean, or like some kind of like hallucination. I think it's a pretty effective scene, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
If it wasn't for his stupid ass fucking mask, it would have been very good.
When he
Yeah.
sets up.
When he sits up in the lightning and it looks like he just shot that lightning strikes. But yeah, I mean, it's a really effective scene, especially when she opens the door and he's standing there with a knife. That's good.
Yeah.
Which Lydia leads us to this scene in the store where she sees him. That's not a hallucination. He's there. He's actually there. And grabs the mask. What do you guys think of that bit?
Yeah, at that point I was a little bit confused because I was like, is he there? Or is it someone else? I was kind of like, maybe it's, they're going to play it like, oh, it was just the cashier or something.
Yeah,
like,
no, it was him. You see his burnt hand reach down and grab the mask.
right. Yeah.
And he pulls it over himself, and then she freaks out, and then you see him afterwards step up, and you see his reflection in the mirror, the broken glass on the ground. It's fine. It's another bit.
Yeah, I think it, like you, it feels just fine. But man, there's a couple of opportunities. If that were his end game, I feel like he missed a couple of opportunities. Like this would be one.
Yeah,
although it's a lot of people, but
yeah, I think that's what happened. Is there's too many people around, so he blends back into the shadows, and then we get one of the big first set pieces of the movie, which is so Dr. Loomis arrives in town, and we meet Sheriff Meeker. What do you guys think of Sheriff Meeker?
he's got a good presence about him.
I think he's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he's a very solid character.
yeah, I do too. He's like just a no-nonsense kind of rough and tumble sheriff. We find out that...
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was going to
No, go
say, he so at first he's not really picking up what Loomis is saying, like, oh, okay. But then he goes, I think they pick up the phones, and the phone lines are down. And unlike a lot of characters in movies who are just like blow that off, he at least like says, okay, maybe there's something to this. Doc, I'll go with you.
Yeah,
And I think that's a great character trait that he took it serious.
yeah, and it's one of the things that's the most infuriating usually about these movies is Dr. Loomis would roll into town, say, hey, Michael Myers is coming, he's going to kill people. And they're like, pish posh, Michael Myers is dead, or Michael Myers is an invalid. So at the beginning, he says that Michael Myers is an invalid, but he also recognizes Loomis as soon as he meets him. Like, people aren't bound to forget your face around here. And then when he's starting to say the stuff, he's like, if I believe you, what about, I just need more information. And when he makes the phone call and the long distance down, he immediately is like, okay. Like you said, Derek, he's immediately like, okay, so there's definitely fucking something going on here. Maybe it's nothing, but I'm not going to make the mistake of just blowing it off and pretending like it's nothing. So I'm going to at least investigate it, which is what a good police officer should probably do, is investigate. So, yeah, I think he's a really cool presence and a good character. So they go out looking for Jamie because Dr. Loomis knows that that's where he's going. He's going for Jamie. Meanwhile, Rachel and Jamie are out trick-or-treating. And they ring the doorbell, and old Catherine Kitmont answers the door in just a T-shirt that says, "Cops do it by the book." And
she does it by the...
Yeah. She does it by the book as well.
Yeah.
Actually, by the fireplace.
By the fireplace, exactly.
But Rachel sees Brady, and we have this confrontation. What do you guys think of this bit?
It's pretty good.
She lets him have it, doesn't she? Yeah.
And it's very telling on a lot of fronts. Well, one, he like leaves the house to go after her, and then the girl like accepts him back. Which, I mean, later on in the kitchen, whenever they're having that conversation, you kind of see where she's like looking ahead. Because the way I took it was Brady's family maybe owns that store that they were in earlier.
I don't know. I don't know
He's
about
at least
that.
somebody in the town that she feels like if she hitches her wagon to this, it's going to lead somewhere. So,
yeah. And also,
fun.
she's got to be doing it by that fireplace, baby. You got to find somebody to do it with. And she's like, "Let me cozy up to those old caterpillar brows. Get all nice and fuzzy
when the fire
keep me
goes
warm
out.
at night. Cover up with them." So Jamie separates, and she's off on her own and gets lost. Meanwhile, the Shape stumbles upon this fucking electrical worker named Bucky. You can never forget about Bucky. R.I.P. Bucky. What do you guys think of this Bucky scene?
It's pretty funny.
It's a good one. Yeah. It makes
Also,
me laugh.
this is like definitely where like the mask looks the worst.
Yeah.
It just shows it like blatantly pretty well lit, and it's just like, oof.
Yeah. Now imagine like this scene is still fun, still a lot of fun, I think. I like old Bucky being like,
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with the police right now.
Yeah.
Makes me laugh. But imagine this scene with the original Shapes mask. It'd be way more effective.
It would, yeah, for sure. For sure. That mask really took me out of this scene so much. And I really liked Bucky.
Yeah.
There are like three scenes in this entire movie that really like haunt me. Like this one is one, like I understand from like maybe a strategic perspective why you would want to go and like knock the power out to the entire city
Town. Yeah.
But like on the other hand, like is that something that I feel like Michael would have done?
Yeah, I think he would have. He's definitely a cerebral, smart guy. Yeah.
I don't know. I just it felt a little out of character.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it felt completely out of character because I mean the Shape, that's what sets him apart from somebody like Jason, or Leatherface, is that he is cerebral. He does stalk. He does kind of play the games with people, like when he sets the traps for the final, when they go run the final girl circuit and see all the dead bodies. He, displays his sister's tombstone. It's like, this is just kind of who he is. So I don't know if that's necessarily the problem. It is just kind of weird that he goes to the power plant necessarily, and just his plan is, I'm just going to hope that there's somebody here that I can throw into these coils, I guess.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to throw rocks. So
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do
Well, like,
otherwise.
he was probably trying to get the power to be shut off, and like that guy
Yeah.
just got in his way.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, hey, fucking two birds, one bucky."
Yeah,
Right?
that's the T-shirt.
Yeah, two birds, one bucky, and he's just
I
freaking.
also go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say when I was watching the credits at the end,
Uh-huh.
there's someone whose nickname is Bucky in the credits. So I was wondering if they were probably naming him after
Maybe, probably, yeah.
like the person who owned that. I forget what the actual credit was, but it seemed like they had something to do with that place.
I do love that it's just we definitely can't forget his name because it says Bucky on his hat
Yeah,
and Bucky on his shirt. He's just like, by the way, I'm Bucky.
yeah, I love it. I love it.
He's got that mustache, looks like fucking Jeff Foxworthy, just strolling along at the at the power plant. You might be a redneck if you're walking around the power plant at night and get thrown into a fucking coils by Michael Myers. So the power's out. You know, it's gone. So everybody, I think the reason that it was done is so that way it can get everybody off the streets. I think that's why. In the meantime, before the power goes out, Derek, we have that bar scene because this is very important. There's this Earl, this bar patron, or this bar owner who's sitting in his bar, and we get the news blurb that they issued a citywide curfew, and he calls the police station, and nobody picks up, and because he says a line like, you know, old Ben Meeker, aliens would land on his front door, and he'd spit and get a shotgun. So there's got to be something going on here.
Yep.
And it just rings. So they're like, well, let's go. Let's basically gather up all of our guns and let's go to the police station. And it creates a mob. What do you guys think of this mob subplot? Because I think it's kind of pretty cool.
I agree, especially with the history of this town. I could see where they would form a militia of some sort. Like, hey, man,
Yeah.
if this mofo comes back, we're going to do some vigilante justice over here, which
Yeah.
doesn't turn out well for all the citizens of Haddonfield.
Does not. What do you think of this subplot, Lydia?
Well, for me, it made me think of Halloween Kills.
Yeah, well, yeah. Halloween Kills use this subplot. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I didn't realize that. So I
Yeah.
was thinking about that the entire time. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I didn't realize that before. Like,
Yeah. That one takes it to a different level.
yeah.
But because this is just a bar full of, this is just a truck full of fucking beer bellies. But Halloween Kills is like a good chunk of the town and a woman with a fucking iron. But yeah, I like this little subplot as well too. I think it's really, really neat. So Dr. Loomis, we get like a kind of like a little chase scene. Jamie kind of, well, first Rachel sees the shape and she runs from him, and then
Yeah.
Jamie's kind of being followed by him, and they end up meeting up, and Dr. Loomis and Meeker show up, and that's when we get the scene of the multiple Myers. What do you guys think of that bit?
That confused the shit out of me. I was like, what is happening? What is
Is he
going on?
teleporting?
Yeah, I was like, no, it's like they can't all be like hallucinating this or something. So I'm like, yeah, it's definitely just people, but like, why?
Kids, man.
Why?
You know, I have a feeling that if you lived in a town and there was a boogie man, he would probably be the most popular costume on Halloween.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure. Which, yeah,
For that age group, you know?
Yeah, especially for
sure,
that
for-
age group. And
Yeah.
dude, I could totally see us dressing up as Michael Myers and going out. You know what I mean? That's something we would do as teenagers. So
for sure.
like-
yeah,
yeah, I liked it because I was like, yeah, it does. When the first time you watch it, you're like, huh, what is going on here?
Mhm.
And then the kids reveal themselves, and you're like, ah. And then the real one is standing as the. It's a pretty cool shot when he's standing there and it pulls away. Just if he had the fucking original shape mask, it would have been really cool. Instead, he's shocked that the camera saw him. So Meeker and Loomis arrive at the police station and discover some bad news, don't they? Don't they, Lydia?
They do. Yeah, they do. Here, if I take the reins here.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Because
go ahead.
this is the biggest problem I have with this movie. There are so many like you see the carnage. There are so many off-screen kills. They could have like really ratcheted up. Like this scene would have been awesome played out to see him walk in and decimate a fucking sheriff's office.
I think the reason they didn't is because that's not Halloween, right? I mean, that's not Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween's all about the suspense.
Oh, I agree. But he did it. We just didn't get to see it.
Yeah. So it would have been fun to see. I don't think they would have shot that back in '88. That would have been a lot, probably. But I mean, we kind of get to see what happens when we see Gabriel do it years later.
I was gonna say, like, just have like a Gabriel.
Well, and it's not a lot of people in there, right? It was like two cops and a secretary or whatever.
Yeah. I think there was like 4 people in there, 4 or 5 people. But
dispatcher.
It's really cool. You see like the dude's arm cut off and stuff. And, he's just like, they wouldn't have put up, went out without a fight. What is this? It's like, this isn't a man. What is he? Evil. And they run into the old beer bellies. And they're like, and Loomis tells them, Michael Myers is out there. He's returned to kill. And he's like, you just created a lynch mob. And he says, you don't have a police force. This is the only people you got.
Not a good idea either.
It's not, but it's a better idea than nothing. Derek, you're muted, buddy.
No, bitch. You know what? I'm just gonna delete these 2 mutes and it'll be like it never happened. I was gonna say, no, you're exactly right. I actually think that this is a really good play by Loomis because he calls it out. You don't have a police force. They just got destroyed. And so you need some sort of backup, even if it is these guys who are going to randomly kill people.
Right.
That's the problem.
That is the problem. But that's more, he doesn't necessarily know that they're going to go around fucking just shooting at shadows. But it's like, you need some kind of protection. You need something. Because you don't have anything. They need to get to the place. So their plan is to go to Meeker's, lock it down, and call for the state police and wait for backup. So the problem with this plan is that the cop that's waiting at Rachel and Jamie's house for the parents to get home or for them to get home decides to bring Michael Myers right to him.
It's because Michael's playing chess and they're all playing checkers.
Yeah, so he basically is just chilling in the back seat. Old boy doesn't even think to look in there. He's just like, what's going on? The police station destroyed. I'm heading there now. I'm heading to your house. So
and if you think about it, Michael actually learned from the first one. He must not have breathed in there.
Oh, right. He just held his breath.
The condensation.
Different mask is why.
There you go. It's good. It's got different filters on it.
Basically, I would assume he was just wait. So the connotation would be that he was there waiting for them to return. He was at the house waiting for them to return, and then decided to hide in the back of the trooper's car, and was like, "This guy might take me to where I need to go," and he sure as fuck does.
Yeah, he does.
And there's a great bit where he goes out to grab his riot gun, and the back door is just open, and he's just like, "Huh." Shuts it. And I would have been like, Sheriff Meeker?
Yeah, hey, randomly my door was open. Yeah.
I don't like it.
You definitely report that. You don't,
I might have opened that when I got out of the front door.
Yeah.
Like you do. Mustached fool.
Yeah.
So we get a bunch of bits here in the house. Loomis goes off to wait at the house to see if the shape returns, and they start basically. The girls wait upstairs. Brady goes up to the attic to board it off, and everybody else is boarding off the house. And there's only one way in and out, which is the front door with a deadbolt. But the shape's already in there. He's already inside. What do you guys think of this bit? So let's talk about the sheriff. The sheriff gets killed off screen. Or not the sheriff, the deputy. You're muted, Derek. Damn it.
I'm just out to break a record on this one.
You are. This is the worst one in a while. Yeah.
I was gonna say, when you said sheriff, I was like, what? How did I miss that one too? It was the deputy.
No. Deputy. Right. He's like all fucked up. I don't really know exactly what happened to him, but he's fucked up pretty good.
Yeah, he's like beheaded and twisted like a pretzel. He's like holding his own head in his arms.
Yeah. He's twisted up pretty good.
I really loved when Brady was like, "Look at him." I was like, "What?
Like this is serious."
Good point. So Sheriff Meeker goes because the beer bellies, Lydia, to your point, decide this one guy's like, I saw him he went into those bushes. And they just decide to open fire when the bush moves. And they kill just a random guy.
Yeah.
That's Ted Hollister.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Ted. R.I.P.
Whoever you are, Ted.
And so Sheriff Meeker hears them talking back and forth on the CB about it. So he's like, I can't sit there and, who's next? Somebody's wife, somebody's kid. I can't stand for that. So he goes out. So it's only the deputy, Kathleen Kintmont's character. I can't remember her name. Why don't I remember her name? What is it? You guys remember?
Blair.
It's not Blair. It's fucking definitely not Blair. It's Kelly.
Pants.
It's Kelly. Kelly Meeker.
She called her hot
way
pants.
Close. Hot pants.
So
Fucking
that's
no
what
pants.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But so it's the girls, her and the deputy and Brady. So yeah, we see old twisted up deputy after Rachel and Kelly have like a little argument in the kitchen. When she's like, you need to get wise to what men want. Yeah. She throws coffee on her.
Yep.
And so she goes out with the coffee to give it to the deputy who's sitting in the chair. So with the shotgun, so she thinks. And then she lights a candle, which is a great reveal. She lights the candle and sees old pretzel twisted head laying there all fucked up. And then the shape stands up with a shotgun, and you're like, oh, is he going to shoot her? No, that's not his style.
No.
He stabs her with the shotgun through her body and through the wall, which I think is a great kill.
Yeah, I agree.
It's shot so crazy, like violently too.
It is, yeah. And she's just like, shocked at the fact that she just got stabbed with the shotgun.
Well, she was out to get nailed, and she did.
She did. I mean, she wanted something.
That was not great. In my head,
something long and hard, and she got it.
Yeah,
that's the one, right, Lydia?
Damn it! You guys are terrible.
Derek says, she wanted nailed, but Brady had the hammer upstairs.
She wanted to get banged, but she got shotgunned. No, that doesn't work.
Makes it sound like he was drinking her. Oh my god. So yeah, she's a goner. And Rachel goes upstairs and sees old pretzel head, sees her hanging on the wall, and then she runs into Brady, who tries to escape. He shoots the lock off and says, I don't understand this necessarily. But like, it's metal. So they're trapped inside, I guess, because the door's metal, so it didn't shoot the lock off.
Yeah, Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. I've always been confused by that.
Well,
I
and
think I know
you-
what they're trying to go. What they're trying to go for is that the door is metal, so it like is jammed, and he can't blow a hole in it, so they're stuck. But he clearly just blows the lock off. We see it blow off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
don't
kind
get
of
it
confused.
either.
But
Or you have a gun with a metal barrel. You could easily break a window.
well, I mean, I
You're
don't know how
like,
much time
that's
they have because they did board up all those windows. They did board up the windows.
Maybe you're right.
But so he, that's where your line comes in, Lydia. Look at him. She doesn't stand a chance. It's like, fair point, Brady. Fair point.
Yeah.
They go upstairs and they see, they find Jamie. And then the shape walks downstairs. So Brady's plan, he goes to shoot him, realizes he's out of bullets, and his plan is to stand on the landing while the shape is approaching and try to load his gun as opposed to running away.
Yeah, retreating and doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, load it and shoot him. So he made a bad choice and he pays the price. He gets fucked up pretty good, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
What do you guys think of his death?
What did he do? He went for the old head squeeze.
Well, the whole neck, he kind of like crushes his whole like neck in, like this whole area. He just crushes it in because he picks him up by his head first, and he tries to punch the shape. It does nothing. So he just grabs his head, starts crushing his face, and then just crushes his whole neck in. And you're like, oh, oops.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, sorry, Brady. I feel so bad for you.
I really liked you, buddy. You're a good one.
Now you can spend more time with your other girlfriend.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, man. So we get a rooftop escape. What do you guys think of this rooftop chase?
So
it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Yeah. This is actually one of the scenes that I remember most about this movie.
It is super stressful. You're right, Lydia. It really works. The tension works in it, I think.
That is a slippery looking roof.
It is. It's really awesome. They built a set of the roof that was only like 5 feet from the ground to shoot a lot of the actors on the roof.
Nice.
And then they had a stunt woman, of course, hanging from the top of it. But man,
are you saying they didn't dangle a child?
I know. We want realism in our movies, guys. Boo. We watched Amityville last week, Amityville 2. We're all about child endangerment now. Movie turned us on with a plastic bag over the face. Turned us on to child endangerment. So, yeah, I really like the scene. I like when she's hanging off the side and he's swiping at her and she actually falls, which is kind of shocking when it happens. She's like, oh, man, is she dead?
Yeah.
And Jamie climbs down. It's like, Rachel, don't be dead. Don't be dead. Come alive. And the shape pops up and she's like, nope. I love you, but gotta go.
No. He teleported.
He did.
He jumped.
He probably jumped, I would imagine.
There could have been a little bit of time passed because Jamie had to untie herself and climb back down. Yeah. So there's probably a little time passed, but
yeah. So he gets down and he's on the other side, and it's pretty effective. It would have been, guys, just if it was the real shape mask, that'd have been actually pretty scary. I think seeing him standing in that shadow right there. Ugh. So she runs off and runs into Dr. Loomis, and they decide to hide in the schoolyard. He thinks that hiding in the school is the best option. In his defense, he didn't know that I was going to have the fucking loudest alarm possible on it.
Right.
When he shoots in here. And what do you guys think of this little schoolhouse bit?
It's pretty good.
I mean, besides Surfer Sting showing up.
Besides that, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is another one of those moments where it's a missed opportunity for Michael, right? So he grabs Loomis and throws him pretty easily through one of the classroom doors, and then more or less is at stalking Jamie.
That's what
I
he
don't know
does.
why he
man.
didn't take her out.
Well, I don't know if I think by the time he throws her or throws him, she's already running. So he has to stalk after her again. Here's a fun fact. In this scene, there's a famous scene in H2O that was actually written for this movie. You know the scene where Lori's under the tables in H2O and the shape is flipping him over?
Yeah.
And that actually was written for here. Jamie was going to hide in the classroom and he was going to start flipping the desks over.
Oh, that would have been scary.
Yeah. I don't know why they cut it. Maybe for time. You know what I mean? Maybe, when they, budget. I don't know.
They
But
probably
it would have been
filmed
fucking.
it. They probably filmed it all with that pink mask, and then they're like, shit.
I don't think they ever shot it. It was just in the script. And I kind of wish they would have because we get it in H2O and it's cool. But it would have been scarier if it was Jamie Lloyd under there because she's a kid.
Yeah.
She's a little kid. Yeah, I think the schoolhouse stuff's pretty good. Rachel shows up and sprays him with the fire extinguisher, and they nope out of there and run into the old beer bellies who hear the school alarm going off. Luckily, actually, that school alarm is so loud because they show up and they take the kids and they take off. They're like, because they talk about, let's go in there and get him. And then the other guy's like, how about we just let the police do it and we just get these kids out of here? He makes sense, Earl.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah. He's already killed like every single person he's come across. Every time he's been in this town. So
Yep.
Yeah, let's let the police deal with it. That's what they get paid for. And then so what do you guys think of this truck scene? Because they run into the state police, they tell him that he's at the schoolyard, they're heading out to the outpost, and we find out that the Shape's been pulling a Cape Fear on us.
Oh
Man,
my
this
god.
is the one scene of the movie that I actually don't like. It's my least favorite scene. Just because, like, how does the trooper not? Because it's never really like explained. Is he underneath or how did he get there? It just
I'm assuming
randomly,
he's
like,
underneath.
grabs-
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's underneath.
I don't know. That really took me out because
I didn't like that either. I didn't like that he was underneath.
I don't mind that. I don't mind
I
that
don't
he's
even know
underneath.
that
I
he
mean,
was
that seems like a
underneath.
fun thing.
It would have if like they would have alluded to it or something like that. But
Then it would have
seemed like
taken
was
then it
hanging
would
on
have
the
taken
back.
this. Well, then it would have taken the surprise when he pulls out. That's what they were going for, is that surprise when he pops over the edge. But so he had to be underneath there, and basically he did it while they were all talking about, hey, should we do it? I don't know. Let's just So when they were waiting around, he's like, I'm gonna fucking crawl underneath this guy and see where they take me. And I mean, hey, listen, if Max Cady can do it, Michael Myers 100% can do it, by the way. He's a supernatural murdering machine. So he can definitely hang on to the bottom of a vehicle, no problem. The one problem I have with this scene, honestly, is I don't like the way the murders in the truck are executed. I think it's like kind of choppy. Like, you have to suspend your disbelief that this guy doesn't hear this guy being killed. Like, it would have been way better if he got in the truck, stabbed a guy, stabbed another guy, threw this guy out, and like cut this guy's head off. You know what I mean? Just boom, 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 boom. Took them all out. Snappily.
Well, yeah, because as soon as the tailgate goes down, and like back then, tailgates were solid, like they were steel. You know what I mean? Like they were heavy. Yeah. The driver's gonna know that. He's gonna hear it. I'm with you because he's like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah. And so I don't love the back of the bed truck fight. It's okay. I like that he kills all those guys. I just think it could have been better. But I do like how he kills old Earl, ripping his fucking throat out. That's pretty legit.
That was great.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a great effect. Yeah, I was all about that. I was like, yeah, that's a good one. And then she's just like, sorry, Earl, kicks his ass out of his truck. Bye. And a shot that always makes me laugh is when he slams his face on the windshield.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, what the fuck is that? What do you guys think of this ending? The Michael's demise. What do you guys think of it? I think it's a solid way to go out, right?
I did too. I thought it was pretty fun, and I actually love what leads into the scene with Loomis and said Michael's where he belongs, buried in hell or something along those lines. So I love like. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I love whenever she runs him over and he like fucking flies and lands into that fence, and then so if you were going to, you know, I guess the next scene, that connection that they have, this is the only part where I think Jamie actually touches him.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And she holds his hand. Yeah.
Yeah. And so go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. It temporarily passes off the evil. We don't know that yet, but that's basically what happened. I do like the shot of his hand closing on the knife before because it's open. And then once she grabs his hand, it closes on the knife and he stands up to kill her. And then he gets like 7,000 bullets shot into him. Good. What do you think of this, Lydia?
I like it.
It's a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
It falls down into a well, essentially. And, you know, they can't obviously find his body because he's swept away, which we find out in the next one. But he's, Michael Myers is gone in hell where he belongs, as Loomis says. Everybody goes back to the Crothers house, and Mrs. Crothers decides to take Jamie upstairs for a bath. And then, what do you guys think of this ending?
Man, this ending. Part of me really feels like it should have been the sister. That's where I'm like, it's surprising. It's interesting. Yeah. It really like did not complete the circle of the movie.
Well, close enough. I mean, you know, they didn't want to kill off Rachel. And by the way, she doesn't die. The mother doesn't die. We find out in the next movie she's alive. She was just attacked. They couldn't have their protagonist be a child or, you know, a mother killer. Obviously.
Well, they could have had her stab the sister and have her survive then.
But I think at the time they didn't think that. So at the time they were going under the impression that the mother died, but they changed that, obviously retcon it in the next movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next one's a little fuzzy, like the next movie.
It's not the best. We'll talk about it eventually. I like the ending. I think it's solid. It's definitely surprising. I can imagine in 1988, you're like, you know, the evil's passed on.
Well, and if you think about it, like they more successfully did what the newest trilogy tried to do.
Yeah, and a lot of things they actually were more successful.
Yeah,
when you think about it, the mob stuff, you know, is a little, it's different, but yeah, and then this, it kind of is what that one was trying to do. Of course, it all gets kind of shit canned in the next movie because we're making Halloween movies here, guys. You know, we don't want to see Jamie Lloyd the killer.
Well, they just brought Michael back to only then kill him off again and start something new. So,
it just was a shock ending, but a really solid one, I think.
I agree. I do.
Especially when Carpenter's Halloween theme kicks in. Because we get like a recreation of the, you know, of the mask going on, picking up the scissors. It's like a recreation of the opening of the original.
Yeah, that theme saves a lot.
Yeah.
Well, the Halloween theme's pretty much, you can throw it over pretty much anything and it makes it spooky.
Yes.
And also badass. Yes. So it's like you could have me like making coffee and do and you're like, this is fucking intense cup of coffee. You know? Yeah, it's just one of the best pieces of film score ever created.
Yes.
It does a lot of heavy lifting.
It does.
Sorry,
Because
guys.
that mask takes you out of it hard. But
Yeah,
that music
yeah.
brings you straight back in.
Right in. What were you going to say, Derek?
I was gonna say they definitely foreshadowed this
Mhm.
in the drugstore when she picks out the costume.
And
Yeah.
it flashes back to young Michael.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Because
I mean,
as
first of
soon
all,
as
she
I
picks.
saw it,
Yeah.
it made me like want to. Right before they did the flashback, it made me want to rewatch it and be like, hey, because they look so similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They picked, like, they deliberately put her in his costume.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of other notes. I love the fact that she goes to school. It's a Halloween tradition that these schools have just the absolute worst bullies.
Oh my god.
What kind of fucking person is like, ha, your mom's dead? It's like
I know.
wild.
Yeah.
Wild. I was like, I hope the shape gets you.
Yep. Or your
Or at
parents.
least your mom. Yeah, so then you know. You know the pain. That makes me laugh. And then the music to this was done by Alan Halsworth, who did the scores for in conjunction with John Carpenter on a lot of movies. He worked with him on Halloween 2, worked with him on what was the other one? I was just on tons of them. Escape from New York, I think. They Live. So he worked with Alan Halsworth a lot, and Halsworth did the music for 4 and 5 to keep that kind of continuity. So there's not a lot of new music. It's mostly the stuff written by Carpenter, reimagined. Most of the music, even certain themes, like you hear the, you hear that stuff every once in a while. Da na na da, da na na da. Which is a fucking great piece of music too. Ah, might fucking listen to Halloween. My Halloween record tonight. Good stuff. And that is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Like I stated, it was directed by Dwight H. Little, and it was written by Alan B. McElroy. Turned it in hours before the writer's strike, which is just crazy. So what do you guys think?
I'll go first. So yeah, I'm glad he's back. I thought this movie had a lot of really good scenes. The things that really stand out to me, I do really love the opening of this movie. It's super like put me in a specific mood, and I love that mood. If I had to have a couple of critiques, I mentioned them earlier. There were some off-screen kills. I would have loved to have seen those. The mask was obviously a bit just out of place. It didn't feel right. And other than that, I loved getting back on the Halloween train because it did feel like a Halloween movie. And, Donald just brought his A game for this movie as well. And, made it a Halloween movie.
Yeah,
as only
absolutely.
he can. So that being said, I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 because it did have some things in there that I wish they could have ironed out beforehand, but it's still, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I picked it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, good job picking this one, Derek. We somehow, I don't know if you meant to do that, but this is like our anniversary movie.
Yep, 2 years. 2 years.
2 years.
So I roll up in here.
5.
But yeah, I think I'm going to give this movie a 7 because I do really enjoy it and I would recommend it to anyone, like just for the vibes and everything. But there's like a couple of complaints, but it's a Halloween movie and it's still good, So
Yeah, I'm with both of you. I think it's one of the better sequels of Halloween. Because really, so far, Halloween 3 is an outlier. That's its own thing. But we reviewed Halloween 2 and this one, and both are solid sequels, I think. I don't think either of them have been bad. I feel what you're feeling with the vibes. It does feel like a Halloween movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's a quick watch. It's like 88 minutes in and out. There's no fat on the movie. It just jumps from scene to scene. There's some spots for suspense. I mean, it's not going to be Carpenter's Halloween. That's
Right,
up
exactly.
here. That's up here. This is more of the 80s slasher Halloween, but it's still a lot of fun. If the mask was, I think if the mask was the mask, this movie would be like an 8 for me. Like a solid 8, maybe even 8.5, because I like the characters and I like the story. But the mask being what it is, I say the movie is a solid 7. I think it's a solid 7. There's a lot to like in it. There's not a lot to complain about. Just the stuff that we already touched on. Especially considering, check this out. So I was looking this up. On February 25th, 1988, McElroy was brought in to write the script for Halloween 4. The writer's strike was to begin on March 7th. This forced McElroy to develop a concept, pitch a story, and send the final draft in under 11 days.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I could do that if that was my job. Like if I didn't have to go to my 9 to 5 and got to just work on a script every day. But man, writing's hard. It's a hard. It's like working in the salt mine. Some days you're just like, and then some days it's like finding gold. You're just like that Bruce Almighty name. But man, that's impressive that the movie came out being as good as it did, considering those time constraints, I would say. All right, now it's time, and I think I know the answer, but it's time to Akanize Halloween 4.
Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me.
Who would our beloved Tom Atkins be in this movie?
Who do you
Go ahead,
think?
Derek.
It's got to be. I would do the boyfriend with the brows.
Oh,
Brad.
you could. It's Brady's his name.
Brady.
I was gonna say Sheriff Meeker.
Yeah.
Could be. We're typecasting. I see that. But
It's
you
like-
know,
those are
Brady
two
gets all the
typecast.
ladies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the guy. That's how we typecast Tom Atkins.
Yeah,
the guy that gets
ladies
the
man
ladies or the sheriff.
Yeah, but I think Meeker would be great because I would love to hear him.
I mean, I agree too.
say he would shoot
Yeah.
Brady. I think that'd be fun, and I
Yeah.
think that him being in scenes with Donald Pleasance, forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if my heart can take it.
No, I'll agree with you guys. Yeah. Very choice.
Pretty great choice. And then, Derek, do you have a story for us?
I do. I was thinking about this earlier.
You came prepared. I'm proud of you. I mean, I
Yeah.
told the story last week. 2 of them, even.
I do what I can. It's not like an elaborate story, but it's one I
It's all right.
reminisced about. All right, so I've told a lot of stories about my brother. Well, here's one more. Hopefully, I haven't told this one already. Otherwise, what's the point? But anyway, so my mom decided that she was gonna follow this guy to Kentucky once upon a time. It was like 1995, I think, ish. I was in 6th grade, and so she moves us down to Kentucky, and my grandparents moved down to Kentucky. Like half my family moved down to Kentucky because my mom did. And so my grandparents rented this farm, and my grandpa decided, because my grandpa grew up in Kentucky, he was going to raise some chickens. And so my brother and my cousin were in the backyard, and they were taking like, you know, those green walnut things. It's either the
Mhm.
walnut things or actual apples off of an apple tree. Well, they were like, let's throw these at the chickens, like one does. And so they were throwing these at the chickens. Well, one of them hit one of the chickens and broke its leg.
Oh.
Oh,
So instead of being like, let's go do something else, or maybe we should tell my grandpa or whatever. No, they decide, you know what? Let's eliminate the chicken and we'll cover this up. So Jay gets a bright idea. He went and grabbed a shovel and he was gonna like kill this chicken. And so he pulls it back, he closes his eyes and he goes, I'm so sorry. And he brings it down and he hit a rock. And he dropped to his knees and started crying because he thought he hit the chicken. And that chicken just like moved out of the way and started wobbling away. My brother's crying on the ground, thinking that he killed a chicken. Anyway, my grandpa found out. They got their butts beat, and yeah, I don't think that chicken died. I think it was okay.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
I know.
That was a lot of emotions in that one.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yikes indeed.
I mean, I just thought my brother would walk over there and be like, but no,
No.
he had some remorse.
Yeah. He couldn't do
Well,
it.
that's good to know.
Yeah,
I know,
good to
right?
know that he's not a remorseless murderer. Giant fuck up, but not a merciless murderer.
Yeah.
So it's my turn to pick, guys.
Yes.
I've been thinking about this all day. I almost changed my pick while we were talking because I was like, nah. I was thinking about a couple other movies, but I don't think I'm going to do that yet. So we're going to keep it in the past, but we're going to jump forward several years, and we are going to do Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Nice. Nice.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to like clear my schedule.
It's not that long. Let's see. It is. Let's see if it's streaming anywhere. It might be on HBO. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's see. I'm looking for it. Nope. It is not streaming anywhere, but you can buy it on, you can rent it on Apple, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, Vudu, Redbox, and DirecTV, all for $3.99. It is 2 hours and 8 minutes, Derek. It's only 2 hours. Did you think it was like 4 hours or something?
I thought it was like close to 3.
No. No.
I've never heard it referred to as Francis Ford Coppola's.
It's not.
Because-
It's always referred to as Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it's a Francis Ford Coppola movie. We need to put respect on Francis Ford Coppola's name.
Oh no, I agree. I just had it took me by surprise because I was like, and I've never heard it said that way.
Yeah.
It's always the other.
I feel
Yep.
like Derek
Not real
always
hard.
watches this movie in black and white.
You're missing out, buddy. You're missing out. There's some beautiful visuals going on in this one. I almost was going to do the 31 Dracula first, but it's Dracula. There's a million other. It's not a remake of Dracula. It's a reinterpretation of the novel. So I thought, let's just do Bram Stoker's. That's the one, right?
Yeah.
It's a good one. So we'll do that next week. Be sure to comment down below on your favorite version of Dracula and what you thought of Halloween 4. Do you think that this is the best mask? Do you think if you do, I'm sorry. Do you think it's the worst mask? You're probably actually wrong on that one too, because we haven't done Halloween 5. But comment down below. Be sure to follow us all on social media. You can follow us at HiLaProductions.com. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. Follow us on Instagram at Scream Bloody Movies. And you can follow us each on Twitter, though I don't know for how much longer. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. Follow Lydia at Lydia Spooky, and you can follow me at Racket if you want to spend one of your 600 views on us, we'd appreciate it. That'd be a great time. So next week, Bram Stoker's Dracula. We bought some new equipment. We're getting ready to work on the next short and getting ready to raise money for the next feature. So stay tuned for those because some big stuff's on the way. If there's nothing else for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.